contrast. Jennifer's talked a lot about the community support, the community startup. I wouldn't say we had that we lacked that community support. I would say it was a mixed bag. So Jennifer talked about the MPO in Ithaca, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. For us, that's the GBNRTC. Great support there. Same kind of thing, you know, just really got the idea. Same thing was true of our major, I guess you could say, technology cluster in the region, which is the Buffalo and Niagara Medical Campus. Just got the idea, gave us parking spaces right out the door. Just really very supportive of the idea. Then again, same's true of the NFTA, our local transit agency. But then again, you have the city itself, which is, you know, I think part of this comes in the fact that it's just a larger region than Ithaca. You've got maybe a more complicated set of actors. So the city, the University of Buffalo, those were more complicated and not as successful in terms of developing those early relationships. It wasn't as clear cut. But it wasn't in any way, I wouldn't say that we lacked support. We had a lot of support in some very important places that really helped. I think to begin helped our proposal that NYSERDA look attractive and look viable. So I wouldn't say it wasn't there. We also have sort of the different needs that we're serving. You know, that's kind of how you opened this presentation, is we're all serving different needs. And I'll get to that a little bit later, but that's leaning towards the nonprofit sector, not us, but the rest of the sector and their needs, and also the needs of those people without access to a car, households without a vehicle. Sort of those, that's the more pertinent community need that's really come out to us in the last year. So this is a result of GIS analysis. This shows you where our members are, and the size of the dots indicates how much they've been using the service. And yeah, this was in the, I think this is going, yeah, this is going up to April, total mileage driven. And so the yellow dots are the car locations, and you've got quarter-mile rings around them. So that's kind of like your minimum walking distance to the cars. Some people are fine with walking a little more, but you know, we update every couple months, and it really helps us look at, you know, where are we going to expand based on member demand. You know, there's always, every once in a while you think, let's try this new neighborhood based on other factors, but primarily you got to also stick to, you know, where is demand coming from our existing members.
Could I just jump in? Because this is something that in my talk I haven't really, if you're building a car sharing network, that's the kind of picture I would suggest as much as possible.
And that one sort of outlier up there, that's actually the end of our one light rail line or subway line. It is, I guess you should call it a subway, in Buffalo. And so that's kind of like the last stop on the subway. And that's why we put that car out there. And we do get some use based on that, but there's still that sort of, it's our least well-performing car.
Lacks the network.
It lacks that network.
Is this built around the transportation system?
I mean, that car specifically is. You can see that this kind of broken line going up sort of northeast.
That's the bold line.
Yeah.
That's the light rail line. That's the
So
subway line.
if we're looking at where the concentric circles are at the bottom, that's pretty much your where people are commuting to, as opposed to from.
This is primarily the walkable, dense neighborhoods in the city. I mean, as we grow, we want it to sort of mimic, and a lot of the proposed spaces we have in the next 6 to 12 months are going to fall along that rail line. But for now, it's just people that primarily do not commute to work by car. Either they're walking to work, maybe they're students, maybe they're retired, maybe they're unemployed. I mean, whatever varied reasons exist, but the Allentown neighborhood, sort of this neighborhood is by far the densest and the most walkable neighborhood in the city, and a neighborhood of choice. A lot of people choose to live there because they don't want to drive, or maybe they don't have a car to begin with.
But it's also where they work. Is that where they work?
a lot of students, it's a lot of artists, just not traditional, or you know, the medical campus is, you know, that technology cluster is right here. So you do have professionals living there too, you know, that just choose to live there because it's an option where they don't have to drive to work.
And I think I know what you're getting at. The light rail is key because the last stop before it comes above ground is right in the heart of Allentown. And then the stop on the opposite end of the subway line is the university. So you do have a lot of students returning down to Allentown that live off campus, and people filtering in to the stops and then coming down to that central dense area where we've launched.
Great. We had a similar experience. We actually originally had placed 2 cars in the central Cornell campus where people were working during the day, one of them near the vet school. We discovered that one of those cars wasn't working, but our cars where people lived were working much better, and in our downtown area where people were living and working were just working much better.
Yeah.
And actually we had another experience with a co-housing community, a car that was about 2 miles away from the center of town. It reminds me of that distance. When we finally had to take that car away, it was kind of a painful discussion to have, but we finally came to the conclusion that there just wasn't enough to support that network out there. And so, exactly what you're saying, when there's no, and what Kevin's
Well,
saying.
you know, and this is kind of a thought, we've been approached by some other surrounding cities that have asked us, can we get involved somehow? And, you know, at some point, that's probably not appropriate here, but at some point, we really ought to talk about what Central New York's program is going to look like. Because, you know, and how do you grow it over time? But this is good discussions to that point. I mean, it really is a good provocative thinking.
Yeah, you absolutely have to have a mix of uses. I mean, it can't be solely residential or solely commercial. It has to. That's what we found. It sounds like Jennifer's found the same thing.
Also in terms of like just use throughout the day, you know. College students might use it from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. and, you know, that's not gonna happen with somebody that's not living downtown but working downtown. Yeah, that's our fleet.
Well, some
Some of them.
not all.
Are they all blue?
They're all, well, except for the truck. That was huge with branding, right? So, you know, a slightly obnoxious logo,
No, it's
you know.
great. It's great.
I mean, it's bigger than it needs to be. We have a couple members that complain.
Wait to see ours.
But it's worth it, right?
And the cars are really bright, so like,
Yeah.
you can spot them from a mile away.
That was, I mean, it's been helpful to us. A lot of people just, you know, it makes you think, what the heck is that? I keep seeing around all these cars the same, you know, and it's in the back of your mind, and then you hear about it from somebody and it just clicks. So marketing wise.
I suggested that we brand the whole car, you know, like a NASCAR. And Vita and Sarah said, no.
No.
I think the size of the logo we've got is about as much, at least, again, you know, with that, like, sort of staff opinion and somewhat based on what our members say, and I think we're as big logo-wise as we can get. We're pushing it a little bit on the truck. We're gonna have the whole Beck into the truck, you know, wrapped.
And some of our members have expressed the fact that it starts to feel less like their own car once you start, you know, once you brand
Yeah,
it
it's,
too heavily.
that's a very good point, I mean, you know.
'Cause
Although we have probably all of us have this, where different car share members will see each other and they'll see that they're in a car share car and they're calling at each other or
Oh, yeah.
waving, you know.
Get really excited.
That
We
little-
still get
that